Our next speaker is Ms. Shikha Mehra. She's a director and co-founder of Main Chain Research Consulting. Shikha Mehra is a certified Bitcoin professional and a prominent figure in the blockchain cryptocurrency network. We welcome you, ma'am.
Now I welcome Dr. Vishal Gupta. He is a change leader recognized for driving transformative change in business operations and improving organizational capabilities. Gupta sir is a speaker in external forums on topics including quality, operational and business excellence, and sustainability. He has also represented Ericsson in external forums and have actively participated in various industries initiatives. He is a CII trained and certified assessor, leading cross-industry assessment teams for external assessments of business and sustainability excellence awards, and have assessed. We thank all of our speakers and are honored by their gracious presence.
Now I would request our chairperson, Dr. Pankaj Gupta sir, to kindly begin the conference.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on this panel. And in the morning session, Yaduvendra Mathurji presented the book, Health Systems for New India. And that's made my, work easier over here, because the book, Health Systems for New India, most of the research behind that book came from Access Health International. And I represent that organization. So that book is, I'm also a co-author of chapter 5 on digital health in that book. And so it's made the topic of this panel much easier in that sense. A lot is changing as far as digital world is concerned. So if you can just bring up the slides. So while the slides are being brought up, this is basically, so I pointed this.
It's kept at a very funny position.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So the way the digital globally is changing is the enterprise class technology that used to be is no longer the case. And it's changing to a very nimble architecture, and the new technologies which are changing the world, pretty much every industry in the world is changing, and so is healthcare. And the kind of things that are bringing this change, as I call it, is SMAC, IoT, AI, and blockchain. So SMAC stands for social media, mobile, analytics, cloud, CRM, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. Now, these are the technologies that were brought by internet tech giants like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. And these are the organizations that pretty much changed the world from a technology perspective. And it's really changing the way you look at technology, digital, as it's being called now, and the digital health. It's a combination of two words. Health is getting affected by digital in a very large way, and I intend to bring that out during this panel discussion a little bit. To set the agenda, I'll throw a few examples. Mobile health, right? Pretty much everything in the world has changed because of mobile. We used to take pictures, cameras, gone. It's all mobile. Clocks, mobile. Radio, mobile. There's so many examples that I can cite, right? The same thing is happening in healthcare. Now, mobile health, as it was called earlier, is no longer the case. The National Digital Health Blueprint that was mentioned in the morning, it lays down an architecture principle mobile first. So you design applications going forward for the mobile. You don't design it for the computer, don't design it for the PC any longer, right? It is a quantum leap from where the things were in the past, right? So that's the nature of change that we are looking at. It's a change that is unfathomable, though it is here upon us, it is the future, but we are already living in the future. So how do we adopt it is the question, right? So let me, first go to Dr. Gaurav and ask him, what does he feel about the agenda that, it's been put on the table? And let's get his thoughts, and then, we'll move one by one to the rest of the speakers.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Pankaj, for introducing, and privileged to be part of this esteemed panel out here in IIHMR. As part of our academic initiatives, IBM partners with the leading universities in the world, and we are also looking at partnering with IIHMR as we look to expand in our healthcare and life sciences industry. Now coming to the topic, healthcare, this session has been going on since yesterday. Healthcare industry is getting significantly disrupted. We heard about the aging issues. We spoke about value-based care and outcome-driven, aspects coming in. We're talking about a lot of technology disruption, which is changing the entire gamut of it. Those are real, and those are in front of all the healthcare provider and organizations. Now, if we look at any consumer-driven industry, and healthcare is also a consumer-driven industry from a provider standpoint, healthcare has been a laggard when it comes to technology adoption. If you look at any bit of research, a lot of your banking, financial services, telecom, they lead the pack. They are the first movers when it comes to adopting. Healthcare has been, over the years, kept a little, is a little behind with respect to other industries. But, they are right now witnessing a significant change, and that significant change is not coming from the competitors. It is coming from digital natives, folks who were not in healthcare space suddenly are disrupting market in a very big way. Dr. Pankaj spoke about the FANGs. Besides FANGs, who are big in their own way, there are a lot of startups which are, creating, and coming in niche markets, right? Significantly disrupting the healthcare space. Now, healthcare has, beyond the provider landscape and the hospitals, it's the entire ecosystem which is becoming more and more important. And when I say ecosystem, it's the doctors, it's the healthcare providers, it's the payers, it is the technology providers, it is the device manufacturers, the wellness players, whose apps we use. It's the entire ecosystem which is becoming more and more dominant. And, we are seeing significant digital, adoption, transformation happening, whether it's AI, where we are looking to map human intelligence processes, where there is, predictive and recommendation engines backed by big data and analytics to be able to give much, much more evidence-based analysis with respect to patient health. Or it could be, digital health, where, you are able to view your health status through a click of buttons on your phone. All of those are becoming very dominant, and some of my esteemed panelists would be talking in detail in some of the examples which they cover as part of it. I would like to, at this moment, talk about digital health of a future as we see it. The industries by itself are converging, right? So the way digital is transforming, a lot of industry convergence is happening, a lot of industry boundaries are getting blurred. Let me give you an example about healthcare, and this could be a potential future statement out here, where, think of an example where somebody who enrolls for a mobility app, and it's an app focused on the healthcare, and in his car, you have these wearables and the cameras and the sensors which are able to detect if that patient, and some of these concepts are being piloted in the Western world, the elderly who are driving those cars, if they sense, that there is a problem, or there's a potential heart issue or a cardiac issue which this person is likely to witness during this driving course, they can real time through machine and a lot of natural language processing, get into real-time chat with them, ask them, whether are they facing that issue. And if they say yes, immediately it triggers a response to the insurance providers, to nearby emergency hospitals, to the family of the person, so that all people across the value chain are informed. And what we witness out here is a significant industry convergence, industry collaboration which has happened. You are talking about industry, insurance, hospitals, all of that coming together, as well as a significant change when it comes to business operating model. Yeah, so that's something which the future looks like. Yeah. Sure.
I'm glad you mentioned about ecosystem. So it is the ecosystem which is going to emerge, and the National Digital Health Blueprint, as it came out just recently, it lays down ecosystem as a principle that needs to be achieved using all these building blocks.
Yeah.
So, that's where we are heading, and perfectly on the spot when you say that all these building blocks will be built using all these new technologies, which are the digital technologies, where AI playing a vital role, And gone is the time when we would analyze the data, when we would collect the data, and there would be... Okay, looks like this is better. Yep. So, gone is the time when, you would collect the data and to analyze it and all that. We have moved to a point where to get the answers, you would use artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened in artificial intelligence already. When I get up in the morning, my son is asking, okay, Google, tell me this, music, or play this music to me, even before I say good morning to them. So, we are living with artificial intelligence already in that sense. And when we are living with artificial intelligence, the time is not far off when they will move from our homes to becoming our co-workers. And not just co-workers, they do have a potential to elbow us out, right? So what that means is that we have to move on to jobs which are more intelligent in nature, something that are repeatable, will always be at a risk of being taken over by artificial intelligence. So it's coming. Now, how do we deal with it, especially in healthcare? So, Dr. Mala, do you want to throw some light on your experiments with artificial intelligence and what you think about it?
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. First of all, I'd like to address something that Dr. Gaurav said, that healthcare has been one of the last to adopt technology. Now, why is that? Because we are very people dependent. The healthcare industry is extremely people dependent. And whenever there is one single patient admitted in a hospital, there are at least 6 people responsible for one single patient. So when you have about an occupancy of 150 patients, you actually have 900 workers. So when you have 900 workers, there are 900 mistakes that can occur. This is a very error-prone industry because you're so people-dependent that there is likelihood of not everyone moving the way you would like to move. So therefore, there is a need for technology. Technology is very much needed by healthcare. And if you look at our aging population, so India actually in 2050 will have about 20% of its population above 60 years of age. And therefore, the need for doctors will be, and healthcare workers would be very high. And as you know, I'm sure all of you are aware, that doctors take about 11 to 15 years in the making. If they take 11 to 15 years in the making, therefore you have just limited number of doctors. And with such a growing population, there is going to be a need for diagnosis, treatment, care. Now, if you have limited number of doctors, definitely we need to rely more and more on technology. And therefore, technology is needed to process data and help in decision making. And the other thing that when you look at artificial intelligence, if you really look at examples of artificial intelligence, even in the days gone by, I remember years back, this is I think almost 25 years back, I had taken my son to a homeopathic doctor. Now, these people had a system of repertorization of symptoms. Homeopathy has something called repertorization. Now, what they do is that for supposing you have a right-sided headache, so there will be at least 50 medicines available for a right-sided headache. Now, what they do is that they take ages and ages to study that, because they pull out all the medicines and all the symptoms. Homeopathy is very symptom-based medicine. They'll put all those symptoms together and finally get the most probable medicines to be given for this disease. So I remember this doctor that I had gone to, he used to put these cards with all the symptoms into a box and some of the bulbs would light up on various medicines. So he would know that these 2-3 medicines are the likely medicines that he would need to give to the patient. And that was my first, got us thinking. And we've started to put more and more technology and trying to put data together. So now we have a central system where, we get to know how many patients of ours who are coming in an OPD are actually chronic liver disease patients. And when we get that number with us, then we have a person following up each of those patients to come to the chronic liver disease clinic so that he may not be neglecting his disease. The other is heart failure. Again, heart failure is not something that cardiologist is extremely interested in treating. A cardiologist wants to put stents and let the patient go. But heart failure is a chronic disease. The patient goes on suffering with the disease and he has many visits to the hospital. So now we have a system where our system tells us how many patients are actually potential heart failure patients. So we start following them up and getting them to be seen by the doctor and keeping a track on how are they progressing in their health. The other thing is the most important innovation that has happened in healthcare has actually been in radiology, where artificial intelligence has been used to the maximum. If you recall, there were years back when a doctor was relied upon to come to a diagnosis by examining and taking a history. And there was very little help as far as diagnostic tools. You could have an X-ray, you could have some blood tests, and then slowly we moved on to a sonography that seemed like a real breakthrough. And a sonography could actually tell you if there was a mass growing inside, there was some fluid in your abdomen, or even in your lungs. A lot of things that came up with the sonography. Then we had the CT and the MR and the 3D imaging. So I think slowly radiology has really helped us reach decisions quickly. Earlier, the doctors would be sitting with the film, examining it closely to see what are they looking for. Now the artificial intelligence tells you that these are the things that I think are a problem, and maybe you need to look at these areas. So therefore, a decision is being made much quicker. And when we talk about artificial intelligence, a lot of, as he said, that healthcare has been the last. Also, there has been a resistance from the doctors, especially the senior ones who were not very familiar with the technology, where they didn't want to adopt technology. Now, when you look at artificial intelligence in radiology, they say that a radiologist who is not keen on artificial intelligence will